I got a special one for you guys today. A personal friend of Destiny's that has not appeared on any live stream before, and I have verification. She is Destiny's personal friend.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. You are Steven's personal friend, right? Like you
That's
said.
an interesting way to put it. Yes, I am his personal friend. What I want to know though, so he told me that you've been covering his court stuff. So I'm just wondering, what else do you know? Have you been covering the whole like logistical stuff, all the other servers?
Yeah. Yes, I have very intensely. Yeah. Here is the verification that she is. Okay.
Oh, are you serious? Are you gonna verify me publicly?
Well, yeah. Well, I have to show the viewers you're genuine. Otherwise, people will say it's fake.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this
I am
is
a ver
this is like
this is gonna
not.
be
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is gonna be so
Mhm.
funny if Steven's like, I've never met this person, it's all AI.
He might do that just to troll, but not only have Steven sent this to me, but he also shared with me from his end, verification from his end. So wait, hold on. I'm about to double verify because it's cool. All right. So this is Deeds Barb approaching Steven. Okay, for this. Do you mind if I have a friendship with Foodshops? I don't know why you're asking for permission for a friendship. Like there's nobody
That's true.
preventing you from making any friends, but okay. And speak to
Totally,
her on stream.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Okay. I don't have to ask his permission to be your friend. Absolutely not. But because this is our first conversation ever, right?
Yeah.
So because this is our first conversation ever, I was like, can I go onto his stream and have a friendship with you? Because it's kind of weird to like form a friendship on a stream for the first time. So I was
Well,
just kind of like putting the two
I
things
don't.
together, friendship plus stream.
Well, I don't try to make friends in this space all that often. Just
Uh-huh.
mainly because the way that I work, that I view streaming is that it's just work related. You know, like you can call your coworkers your friends, but then after you get fired or after you get laid off, like you're never going to be talking to each other ever again. So I don't know if I want to call them friends. So it's like
Oh, totally.
it's kind of like the same concept like that. If I were to compare it to The Office, but yeah.
Okay, that's a very interesting way to look at it. I guess because I'm more of a viewer. So I'm friends with Steven. I don't know the streaming space too well. And the more I learn about it, the more I kind of understand why you would want to separate your personal friendships, to be completely frank. There's just a lot of, I don't want to say cutthroatedness exactly, but there's just a lot of transactions happening. Like people kind of use each other to get onto each other's streams. They use each other for clout. So it's kind of hard to say who really wants to be around when no one's really watching, right?
Yeah, I mean, just because, I mean, it's cool, I guess, having Steven's personal friend come on to talk to us, but can't hurt to be too careful. So you're fine.
So true. Totally agree. Yeah. So, one of the reasons I want to talk, well, before we get into my stuff, I was quite interested by what was going on the Reddit between you and Hobbit. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I mean, it came out of nowhere, and I didn't even accept. Wait, first of all, I have a question. What did Steven say about
Uh-huh.
me?
What does Steven say about you?
I'm curious.
Um, Actually, let me recall. We've had conversations about you. He told me that you have covered his court documents. You're one of his strongest soldiers. He's used like adjectives like that.
He said I'm his strongest soldier.
One of his strongest soldiers. He didn't say you are the strongest soldier. So let's get it right. Let's get it right. We don't want Mr. Mooten and Dan and the rest of the cavalry to get annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he said you were one of his strongest soldiers.
Interpersonal friend opinions. Interesting. Keep telling me. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah,
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
Also, what place did you end up at for DGG Friend of the Year or whatever?
Oh my God, like 4 or 5. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I was gonna be like, it's an honor to speak with Foodshops, second runner up,
No,
but I guess.
it's a curse. Okay, it's a curse. Welcome to hell. All right.
Yeah. So before I didn't just want to dive into my stuff, like my pet project or my pet topics. I was like kind of
Okay.
interested in your interactions with the communities as well. So tell me what you know about Gisticle and that server and like what your interactions have been like, how they've treated you, if you've come under their radar. Tell me about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, me and Steven Snarkers probably go back almost 3 years worth of conflict. And this is like way before Steven has engaged with them in a more public setting where he goes like, "Oh yeah, these are the people, and they are making a lot of problems." I think back then when I just started out streaming, I got into a lot of controversy, and that controversy is resurfacing again, ironically, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm defending Steven on his resurfaced controversy, and I also have to defend myself on my resurfaced controversy. But essentially, what they did was they essentially did the same thing that they were doing to Steven, like the exact same thing,
Okay.
snarking, anti-fanning, making sure every single like piece of like dialogue, text, syllable about you is known,
Right.
and to put it out there in the most slanderous way possible. Like this is their work. And essentially, one of Steven's top snarkers named Queeman,
Mhm.
he actually got his career start from farming me. So,
Oh,
in a way, I am like indirectly responsible for his career success.
gotcha.
So when
Is
he
he
was
your
farming,
Hassan?
no, I don't know if I have a Hassan. I don't know. I don't think so. No, I don't. I wouldn't. He doesn't give me off that vibe. No. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah. Oh, so
Okay, interesting.
hold on. Somebody said this. She's a personal friend and not in this space, but her mic work is super clean. What does she do for a living? Do you mind answering that? I'm curious too.
Well, I have worked in a bunch of different fields, but currently I'm working on a bunch of short video series. I'm very much in a more girly space, like I cover a lot of girly stuff. I've
Is
not
it tea?
completed my first video. Sorry?
Is it tea?
As in tea?
Yeah, yeah. Is it like girl gossip space? The tea community?
Yeah. Oh, you mean like tea? Oh, I wasn't expecting to hear the word tea on the stream. All right. So you
Oh,
mean like spill the tea? Yeah.
yeah, spill
Kind
the
of,
tea.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm working on a series right now on a couple of pop stars and about how their journey, their album journey kind of like mimics the journey of feminism. We're currently in the fourth wave. Some
Oh.
people say we're in the fifth wave. So I'm like talking about all that stuff in
Mhm.
conjunction with pop culture stuff. I have a lot of experience in pop culture, film in particular, television as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
Real
doing all
quick.
that stuff. So I'm not really in streaming, but I do know of
Mhm.
like different internet spaces, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Real quick. Where can people find you? What's your channel?
People can't find me anywhere. I am a ghost.
Oh, okay. Oh, are you like a background writer? Like you're not really like the owner of a YouTube channel in
I
particular?
I do write a couple of scripts for YouTube
Mhm.
people, but I'm not allowed to disclose who for.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm under
You don't
NDA.
you don't have to do that. I like it is just in case you want to, shill your stuff and put your stuff out there, you know?
Totally, totally. Maybe
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
future. I mean, I am
Hmm.
friends with Steven. If I ever wanted to go that route, I'm sure he'd give me help. I'm sure you would too in the future. But yeah, it's not something that I'm too I think this space, especially like a lot of streamers tend to be very like male heavy, and I'm not really sure if my content will play really well with that crowd. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm not open to it.
Right. Yeah, like I look at my audience gender makeup and it's like 95% 5% or 97% 3% around there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of the things that
Mhm.
come with like a male dominated viewer space. I'm aware of all that stuff. So one of the things that really drew me to Steven initially, I got into his content through his debate stuff and he was doing
Mm.
political debate stuff. And then I was quite interested in his journey, his whole trajectory from being a gaming streamer, going into more like drama content, but also doing politics debates on a smaller scale and then, kind of like blowing up and becoming like more of a liberal commentator in those spaces as well. And the big moments I think were unfortunately Mr. Borelli, the Mr. Borelli stream was a big one. And
Okay.
there's other like shows like Jubilee, which I think really put him on the map for a lot of like normie coded people. I wouldn't call myself normie necessarily, but I think he became a little bit bigger once he did all those shows. So that's how I came in.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Steven is fundamentally from a very terminally online space for
Yeah.
a lot of his life, but he does come from an obviously he came from real life normie poverty whatever before that, and then he still retained that kind of trying to appeal to normies kind of dialogue, I guess, for himself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's a tough space to be in because I think a lot of people who put themselves on the internet are really, really brave because all their stuff from like 10 years ago is like in there for posterity, right? Like your stuff too. It always comes back to bite you in the ass, and then and then you're like in this like fugue state where you're always defending your old actions. You're trying to prove to people that you've changed, you've atoned, and no one really believes you, and all the haters bring it back up again. It's just this cycle. It's so exhausting. It just sounds really exhausting.
Yeah, but at some point you get used to it. You develop new mental defense mechanisms for specialized situations specifically relating to yourself, and then you move on. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
obviously, that is where a lot of creators would either meet the cut or they don't, right? Because a lot of the times the first stockpiling or the first set of allegations is enough
Mhm.
for them to quit the internet forever or to quit content creation forever, and then they'll never come back.
Yeah.
But however, for people who do manage to develop new defensive mechanisms and whatever, they go on as long as they persevere and stay consistent and stay persistent as well and keep on trying to improve their art and feel as though the passion is worth it, then they have a much higher chance of succeeding, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like you just have to like, I guess like Stevens has meme through it. I don't know if he came up with that, but I've heard it from him the most for sure.
Yeah, it's I call it leaning into the meme, where you whatever allegation you have, you lean into that allegation by making fun of it or making light of it, and then
Mhm.
uh the fact that you treat it as a joke shows it has like a psychological effect on the masses, where they feel also that, oh, it's not a big deal after all. Oh, this thing is not something that can affect, and even if we try to dig it out of Steven, he'll be impervious to our questioning, right? So that is
Right. Right.
essentially what that means. And I think that I don't know if he invented it. I don't think he invented it. But
I
I
don't
think
think so
that
either.
but yeah, because remember, celebrities have gone through lots and lots of allegations before, right? Um,
Yeah.
but uh, but I think that a lot of people manage to co-opt that, maybe from him as well. Like for example, Hassan is now trying to meme through the Kaya shock collar incident.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Vosh memes through the fucking horse lolly allegations or whatever the fuck, but I don't know. But
Right.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
they do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like with your stuff, I actually listened to a bit of you covering, I think, a debate between, I want to say, was it Zips? No, it wasn't Zip Zip. It was Radiant, sorry. Radiant and some guy. I can't remember his name. Are you thinking of the person?
Why did you watch that, I guess, in particular? I'm just curious.
Why did Well, first of all, it got sent to me in a group chat that I'm in, first of all. I watched a bit of that. And I have to say, okay, there's one thing I want to
Who
ask
sent
all
it?
your
Is it
haters.
Steven? I blame Steven. Is he the one that sent it?
He's not the one who sent it to me, but we had a quick discussion about it after.
Oh my
He's in the same
god.
chat.
What is his
Yeah.
what are his real thoughts
What
about
are
that?
his views on it? His views are exactly what he represented in that video, at the end of the video. I actually only watched his part because I had no interest in watching Radiant and the other guy loop infinitely on a topic that I think is quite simple. Really,
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody is asking, feel free to ignore, but did Destiny himself confirm? Yes. Not only did I ask him and he confirmed, but also she also asked him and sent me the screenshot of that. So we have like double confirmation. We're good.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have his permission to talk about him. It's
Yeah.
all kosher.
Okay.
I was gonna say something else. So I have like one question for DGG haters. I'm not taking a side in this conversation. I mean, it'll become very apparent which side I'm on, but I
Okay.
have just one question
Yeah.
for them. So is a person who, like, let's say there's two people, okay? There's person A and person B. Is like person A someone who struggles with intrusive thoughts, thoughts that are taboo, and seeks help for it? Is that person more moral than like person B, who never struggles with anything, who's a heteronormative person, who breezes through life, does not have any taboo thoughts? Yeah, and just like dies. So which person is like more moral? And that's something DGG maybe needs to answer. Like write an essay
Uh,
on it, think on it.
and what makes you ask that? Is this just curiosity out of nowhere, or?
It's kind of like tied a bit to your conversation with, not your conversation, sorry, the Radiance and other guy conversation.
Oh,
It's kind of
Radiant and
tied to that.
Persec. Radiant and Persec. Yeah. No, sorry,
Yes,
Case.
those
It's not
two.
you. It's Radiant and Persec. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, DG haters are probably not watching, and they're not going to be thinking about any of this. Okay. But rather, I think
But they probably should.
I think you're referring more towards DGG itself, because there is a part of DGG right now who are trying to cancel me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I've seen some ideas that they're throwing out there, like contacting anybody who might talk to me, contacting anybody in the future who might employ me, in order
Oh my
to
gosh.
make sure my life is ruined. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, from one person at the very least,
By the way,
in
just to
DG
interject
chat.
really quickly.
Yeah.
Just to interject really quickly, by DGG haters, I meant the haters in DGG who are like against you and like
Oh,
really adamant that they
oh, okay,
understand
okay, okay,
this.
okay. Oh, the
Yeah.
haters in DG. Okay, I thought you were talking about J Stoke and the anti fans, because
Oh,
I
no, no,
don't
no, no,
think.
no. I will
No, no,
address
no, no,
them
no, no.
later.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel still this is something Steven has always talked about. I think he's always talked about how if you're not doing anything that is physically harmful, nor are you declaring the intent to inflict direct harm in a more
Hmm.
immediate sense or even in a distant sense, then there is no issue, because a lot of people are, like, if you experience life a lot, like, you'll know that a lot of people are going to be running around saying, I'm so angry, I wish I could just like beat up my neighbor, I wish I could just beat up my rival gang member or whatever the fuck, right? Like, a lot of
Yeah.
people will say things like that, but following through or making plans in order to shoot up a place, like, that's completely different, right? But if you
Right.
realize that you have like anger management issues and you go out and you seek therapy for anger management, I think that's something to be commended. I think that when people do that, they say something like, "Oh, I have had thoughts of murdering people who are in my proximity. I've had thoughts where I want to go out and commit some first degree crime, right? But
Hmm.
then I recognize that it's wrong, so therefore that's why I'm here, right? I think that's
Yeah.
good. I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Um,
Absolutely. I agree with you.
and I try to think of myself that way, where it's not that I actually want to go out and do things, but it's more like I have the fear of that. And I was open to my therapist. The therapist helped me out. So I admit the thoughts, right? The therapist helps me out, and the therapy is successful. Okay. So ultimately, and people, have a hard time believing that this is even true or whatever, but it's okay, right? The therapy is ultimately
Mhm.
successful. Nobody is harmed. Nobody is going to be harmed.
Right.
I no longer feel guilt. I no longer feel shame. Where's the bad, I guess, right? So I go out, fix my issues, and I come back, and now I'm open to that process to the internet, but the internet doesn't really like it. So, what can I do? There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
what it
There's
is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is at the end. That's true. Like it just feels like you've been defending this for a really long time. Like I haven't actually been watching your live streams. You pop up a lot for me on my YouTube because of Destiny adjacent content. So you do pop
Mm.
up a lot there and I do see the clips. But I feel like you've been defending this for like months. Like months now.
Years. I've been defending this for
Years.
years, but in terms of months, I think it's only a recent thing that DGG chat has decided to pick up on, like, a larger portion of DG, and has
Mhm.
decided to pick up on my old allegations. But
Uh-huh.
people have always heard about this. Like, this has always been a persistent, like, kind of legend in this space about my old allegations.
Right.
And I think that, I just assume every space is going to come across it eventually. So I try not to worry too much about it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And you seem like the type of person who can like take it on the chin and like move on. So that's good. So one of the reasons I contacted you and the reason I'm asking a couple of things about like Justical and stuff and how they treated you is because like just like I said, I discovered your content because you're Destiny adjacent. I was also just like looking through a couple of things in my recommended. And one of the things that struck me a couple of weeks ago was this ridiculous thumbnail that had completely distorted Erudite's body. You know Erudite, right?
Yes, not so erudite. Yeah.
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 So there was this thumbnail that completely distorted her body, made her like super big. Also her face, I think it was kind of made into this like sinister smile. And I'm like, what is this? So I clicked on it and it turns out it's an account called Ryle Kitten House that works logistical. And I'm just like, surely the content of the video cannot be as bad as this thumbnail. Because that thumbnail I thought was sexist, but I'm like, maybe this is for eyeballs, okay? Maybe the content is good. I don't really watch Justical stuff. I've been hearing a little bit of stuff about him because of Destiny, obviously, but I've been friends with Destiny for a year. He does not really like rant about this stuff to me. But when I was like watching through this video, I'm like, the video is even worse than the thumbnail. The first few minutes of the video was like Lav, you know Lav, right?
Haha.
You do, okay. Just making sure
Yeah.
because, like, there's so many old names from the community. So yeah, so Lav in the first few minutes of the video was, like, doing a clavicular level looks maxing analysis of erudite. She was like, "Her pupils are too large and her hair is too greasy." And that just, like, pissed me off. It just totally pissed me off because Justical was just there passively listening, just saying, "Yep, yep," and co-signing everything, not pushing back. And then the next thing they did, I think, was even more egregious. Okay. They had like a picture of Z, who works with Destiny. She was like laying flat on the floor, or at least her face was, and her nose, the shape of her nose was being compared to the roof of a cyber truck. They were like, look at the bump on the cyber truck. It looked exactly like this. I mean, yes, it could be funny, totally.
No, 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 no.
Like
It
I
is,
said
it is,
before,
it is funny, but it's fucked up, right? Yeah.
it's funny, but it's fucked up.
It's
And I'll
funny,
tell you
but it's
why.
fucked up. Yeah. Go ahead.
Before everyone's like, wow, this is some kind of weird feminist person. Why is she in our spaces? Like, this is a male dominated space. I assure you, I know how to chill. I can throw out really mean insults as well. In fact, I did it. I went into the Gisticle server and I gave Lav a taste of her own medicine. I talked about her bulbous forehead, her sloppy wigs that she tries to hide the forehead with. I said all that shit, and I'm like, here's a taste. You wanted the smoke, and now you got it. Okay, she got it. And then a lot of people were like, "Are you an incel? Are you a fat incel?" And I'm like, "No, I'm a woman." And then they were like, "Why are you saying this stuff to Lav?" I'm like, "You have no smoke for Lav." I'm like, what is Z's and Erudite's crime?" That's all I asked. That is all I asked. I did not talk about Steven. And a lot of them were like, her crime is that she works with Destiny. That is her crime. And
Oh.
I'm like, you're going to punish women by calling out their looks and like clowning on their looks on the server and in the thumbnails and in the videos and over again simply because they disagree with you on a case that is ongoing and yet to be
Mhm.
adjudicated. Like, what the hell? How is this like happening?
Yeah, I mean, Not So Erudite has always been Not So Erudite has always been clowned on a lot, even by DGG itself. Like, this thing did not originate from the anti-fans, but it is certainly extremely, extremely amplified and made worse by far by the anti-fans.
Yeah.
But there has always been a persistent issue in this space where if you are anywhere feminine presenting or just a woman, you will be laughed at. And
Yeah.
it's not laughed at in the sense of like, because sometimes you wish they were being honest, okay? But a lot of the times people, it feels as though people are already misogynistic. They have this misogynist idea in their heads, of some particular person, and they work their way backwards to justify their hatred of this person. And then they'll go to like, oh, Not So Erudite doesn't make sense on X or Y, right?
Right.
Even though where they started at was, oh, she's a woman, so I have a
Hmm.
bias against her. And by the way, these people, I'm not saying they're aware of it. They're not aware of it, okay? There is just this kind of inner bias that makes you look at people like Not So Erudite more closely, just simply because there's so few women in this space. So I think that is what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think okay, so let's separate the two things. I
Mm,
think you can have an edgy server. I think you can have a male-dominated space that is always going to clown on women or expect them to look a certain way. My biggest issue with this is that Erudite does not produce overtly sexualized content. She was there doing her job, which was debating Sarah Stock. She was debating a person, and instead of like concentrating on the substance of her arguments, they went straight for looks. Later on, they did refocus onto the arguments, which I didn't appreciate either because they were clowning on her arguments because of a personal vendetta, which is also stupid. That's unbiased coverage. It's not an official news channel. I understand that. But I think that guy, Justical, is like LARPing as some kind of liberal. So he was taking like Sarah Stock's side simply because he doesn't like Destiny and Erudite has like some kind of connection with Destiny. I don't really know what the connection is like. I don't even know if it's tenuous, if it's a strong connection,
mm.
but just a connection alone seems to be enough for these people to look for a pretext to like really go in on her looks. Same with Z, like she has done nothing here. So I went into the server asking about that, but I feel like in Gisticle server, Destiny is like their Gaza. Like anytime someone brings up anything that is totally worthy of criticism on their server, they're going to be like, "Oh, you're a Destiny fan. Like why don't you talk about Destiny's case?" So like they deflect. Just like a lot of white people use Gaza when they have no connection to Gaza, they don't really give a shit what's going on. It's all manufacturing. All that crap is happening there. So when I went into the server and started asking about this, they kind of like immediately threw me into the e-rape defense thread. Okay, like instead of
So, I just want to say that I think I disagree with you a little bit. I think that Nasa Erdai does actually sexualize herself, but it's not to the extent where she warrants anything even close or remotely as close as something like that. Like she, for example, she did
Mm,
have, I think she did have a mirror pointing at her feet, like a mirror of a mirror pointing at her feet, and she also
right.
does like raise her armpits, I believe, on purpose to do it, whatever. Okay, but here's the thing.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's totally fucking fair. If you're a content
Yeah.
creator, I think you should use all the tools at your disposal to do things like that. Because I think
Yeah.
in the past when I was just very early on, I made sure that there was a camera pointed at my thighs. Okay, and I was always made sure to
Mhm.
wear shorts because I know that even though it's subtle, even though that it's a little bit, I'm like that would obviously attract people. Now, not anymore. Not even an inch of sexualization. But at the same time,
Gotcha.
I'm never ever ever gonna slam anybody for doing that. But
Yeah, me
it
neither.
if
Me neither. I do want to
yeah,
draw
unless I think they're
I
a disgusting person. But yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I
Sorry,
want
go
to
ahead.
draw a quick distinction here, okay? Like she might
Mhm.
have sexualized herself. I think for women it's a lot easier for us to sexualize ourselves. I don't mean easier as in we find it easier to do, but I think me, like for instance, I have a decent size. If I have like a decent cup size, me even wearing like something slightly low cut would be perceived as me sexualizing myself, or me wearing a little bit of makeup could be seen as me trying to present myself in a slightly more sexualized manner or sexually appealing manner. And sometimes, yes, that is my intent. My point is that even if Erudite was wearing a burqa,
Yeah.
even if she was wearing a burqa, you know what a burqa is or an abaya?
No.
Okay,
You
those
mean
are like
yeah, these are Muslim wear, right? Yeah. I know what you're
These
talking
are
about.
Muslim
Yeah.
garments. I'm saying that even if she has never shown anything about her body, even if she had signaled modesty, I know any association with Destiny would have led to the same outcome. I'm like 100% sure Lav would have gone in on her looks and Justical would be co-signing it. I think if it was anyone else, he would have had some pushback. He would have said, "Could you like that seems tasteless," or he would have said something like that. I think that this is like a categorical punishment doled out specifically to women because they support Destiny in some way. And for what? And for a case that is currently still in the court system, we don't know what happened. I read Pixie's Substack. It was very unclear to me. More information came out. I'm like, that's really unclear. So you can like punish women in this way if you want to, totally fine. But then you cannot be the bastions of feminism, saying that you support Pixie and you understand how victims are to be supported. Destiny does not, and everyone who supports him is bad, but everyone who supports Pixie is good. If you want that straight delineation, then I expect you to be like a fourth wave feminist server and come correct every time.
What is the fourth wave feminism anyway? What is that?
Fourth wave feminism is the wave we're in currently. It's kind of like a reactionary wave of feminism where
Okay.
they're kind of saying that things are too hypersexualized and maybe women should be infantilized a little bit and we should be more paternal towards them. It's a little bit of an edgy
What?
sort of feminism that we're in right now. But
Whoa,
it doesn't
okay.
really matter. My point is that these
Mm.
guys on that server, and I will take a few names. There's one guy called Sebasexual. He is
Yeah.
just so yeah. That guy, I don't even know what Sebasexual means. He should really change it to like skid sexual or something. Like he's really creepy. So I think I
Yeah.
sent you a couple of tweets
Mhm.
that link to his. I don't know if you have them.
I saw them.
Yeah. So there's a
Yeah.
couple of his tweets in which he's clearly stalking a girl. It is so obvious, and he's not denied that that's him. Okay. Like I think he was on Darius's stream and he found a girl on there. He found her information, started sending her messages. She's clearly uncomfortable. She clearly says,
Is she
stop
even
contacting me.
18? Is she even
I don't
18?
even know. I don't even know because there's
Because
a message on.
right, because just by the way, guys, what I read was basically Sabasexual saying, "Oh, good luck on your classes," right? Like is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah.
He said good
Okay.
luck in school. He said good luck in school, and we don't know
That
what
is
kind of school. But
so
let me
okay, yeah.
describe that last message, okay? That message he sent her last. He says, "Hey," and she says, "Who is this?" And he goes, "This is Sebasexual." I'm telling you, a chill ran down my spine when I read that. He said, "This is Sebasexual." And she says, how did you contact me?" or something to that effect. And he says, Long distance texts are expensive. Good luck at school.
What? Why
Okay,
would he?
tell me
Wait, does he
what
even
is
know
yours?
her? Like, what?
I don't
Do they
think
even
so.
know
And
each
even
other?
if he did know her, clearly she doesn't want to be contacted by this guy. So, in your mind, is this a person? Is this a person who would be an upstanding citizen when it comes to feminism or
No,
dealing with victims or dealing with
absolutely
people?
not. Nope, absolutely not.
Exactly.
No.
Unequivocally not, right? So
Mm.
this is the person that server, Gisticle server, and I will take a few names here: Esports Batman, Wicked Supreme, Gisticle, a bunch of other
Uh-huh.
people. All these guys have decided to sick this guy. This guy who sent this text was sicked on Rose, okay? And
Hmm.
they want us to
Well,
believe
I
that
think
this guy has good intentions.
I think just the nothing against you, okay? Because I know a lot about this, but I think Saba acted of his own volition, of his own schizo volition, which is not hard to believe, right? But yeah.
Okay, but let me tell you why nothing happens in a vacuum. I understand he acted out of his own volition. Okay, but he was egged on. I did see a lot
No,
of
no,
post
I'm
hoc
not providing cover. I'm not providing cover for JSOC and stuff. It's just, you know,
I
like
totally I
factually.
understand
Yeah.
totally
Hmm.
understand. You're trying to be unbiased. I get it.
Yeah.
So post hoc, after he did what he did, after sending the 27 or whatever, 40 messages, I don't really care what the number is. It was egregious. It was way too much. After
Mm.
sending messages to her as well as her family, alerting them that news were out, after doing all of this stuff, on that server, a lot of people were defending him, including one of Destiny's quote unquote victims, saying that, hmm, maybe this is the right thing to do because he did help take out some of her porn from the internet. So maybe he's justified in harassing her. Let me ask you this. In harassment interactions, if a man is harassing me, he buys me a really expensive gift. Do I owe him anything? Do I owe him my communication, my time, my personal space?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I just got a DM
So
from
if
Zip
a
Zip.
man
Go ahead.
if a man does something nice for me or like gets me a gift or does like a good deed for me, let's say,
Yeah.
do I owe him anything? Do I owe him, like, if he's emailing me relentlessly and I don't want to talk to him, do I owe him a friendship or do I owe him a response?
Uh, no, I think you should feel whatever is in your like obviously if somebody does something kind to you, you know, I think
Mhm.
that maybe you feel gracious enough to give them a gift back the next time you see them, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But to feel as though someone is obligated, I think that is something else. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be pretty
so
weird.
their rationalization for why it was okay for this guy who has a history of stalking, a documented history of stalking, a documented history of saying, "Hey, it's sexual. It's really expensive to text you. I hope you appreciate this." This guy who has this history, it was okay for him to email Rose 20 times or whatever and ask her to come forward to contact with Joan. Joan is Pixie's lawyer. So both Joan and Pixie think that this guy is the right guy to be their go-between for Rose. So let's just sit with that for a second. These two people who are saying they're in a lawsuit to protect women, are sicking this guy onto Rose, who's obviously a very young girl with some kind of history of sexual trauma. We don't really know the details of why she was online. We know to some extent thanks to the deposition, but they think it's okay to sick this guy on her. Do you think that's cool?
Nope. Sounds pretty whack. Yo.
Yeah, it's whack. Even if Justical did not coordinate with them, we know Pixie and her lawyer did. That's all I need for now. But let me tell you one other thing. I don't believe Sebasexual would have acted if he didn't have an audience egging him on. A lot of people do these things because I don't think he gives a shit about women. I think I'm really concerned about the women on that server. Some of them have posted where their campuses are. One of Destiny's quote unquote victims has posted her exact campus. And there's a stalker on that server. I'm concerned for her. I think there's just all these people on there who just LARP as liberals. They call women all kinds of names. They're sicking this guy on other people, egging him on, telling him that what he did was totally right. Basically telling him to do this for the next person and the next person and the next person because they're not like giving him any pushback. And Justical, who's like at the top of this pyramid, is off there comparing Z's nose to Cybertruck roofs. All of this is
Well,
part of a pattern of
yeah,
hating
yeah,
women.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess. Well. Here's the thing, though, right? None of this is surprising to me. None of this is news to me. And yeah, I do agree with you.
Yeah, it's like it's not that it's news and it's not that it's jarring exactly. And if
Yeah.
they want to continue being an edgy server who makes fun of women, who only posts women who look like porn dolls, and if they want to tell Lav, yeah, go ahead, make fun of girls without plastic surgery when you look like you've got more plastic than the Tupperware factory. If you want to do all that stuff, that's fine. Be an edgy server. Do it. Do it. Do it, girl. Do it. But you cannot then say that you're helping out in a case, that you're bastions of feminism, that you understand consent, all the layers of consent in the Pixie and Destiny case, which is very complicated. You cannot do both things. You cannot play smart and dumb at the same time.
I think, yeah, but they know that. But they know that. Like this is not some kind of I don't even know how much of it is like cognitive dissonance or whatever. Like I think part of it is cognitive dissonance. But at the same time, I think that if they really like had some level of self-introspection, I think they would have realized, wait a second, maybe us dragging in people that we consider our victims into this mess and then shaming them and then doing crazy shit. Maybe we don't actually have the best interest. But here's the thing. I think this sexism and this like inceldom, like this is
Mhm.
a open thing, you know, in their communities. This is not some kind of thing where they're being secretive and maybe there's some rank secretive hypocrisy there.
I
This is
disagree
stuff that
with you
they
there, Foodshops. I have to disagree with you because there's this one person in particular who seems to be semi-literate. I don't know. He feels like a man with one eye in the kingdom of the blind. You know that saying? Like he seems
okay.
semi-literate. His name's Wicked Supreme, okay? Like he's
No.
on there, he's always saying things like we care about women, like you picked the wrong guy to like call out for this stuff. He's saying all this stuff and he's being like semi-philosophical. And I think he thinks he's a good guy. But he's egging Siba on as well. Like they are actually pretending like they are morally superior to Destiny in some really significant way.
They
We
think
can,
they think it's justified to take any action pragmatically to take down a sex predator.
but yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's the thing though, a sex
yeah.
predator. But they
Hmm.
are using a sex predator, Siba sexual. Like we don't know his criminal history. I don't know his criminal history. I looked into not Kyle Rittenhouse, sorry, Ryle Kittenhouse's criminal history. That guy has a history of domestic violence.
He does. Yes, he
So he
does.
has a history of domestic violence. He's cool. And Justical won't hire an editor. I don't know if he's broke or what, but he won't hire an editor. Every time someone asks him, why do you still have this guy on the payroll? He's still fine with having him on there for reasons. I don't really know. He's fine with all of this. So then you can't be saying things like we care about women, we care about our friends. And the women on there as well are so passive. They don't have a voice or they just seem to be going along to get along. I really don't know what they're doing on there. They're just not saying
Uh,
anything as all of this is happening.
I mean, you have to keep in mind some of the most misogynistic people in the entire world are women, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
But in
I know,
addition,
you can be
yeah,
that
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. But in addition, you know, I think that they also think the same in some way where, you know, they feel as though, in order to take down this sex predator who are targeting us, right, who are targeting people like us, we feel justified to take any action. And
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to Steven, there is a hatred so visceral. You can be trapped in this kind of mob mentality where it doesn't matter who
Mhm.
is fighting by your side, as long as you guys are like dogpiling on this one person, it doesn't really matter. I think that
Yeah.
things can get really carried away. Somebody said, I feel like she is literally AI. By the way, okay, I just want to comment, and by the way, this is not a denigration of you. Your voice and the quality of your mic does actually make you sound like AI, but I can tell you're a real person because you're like moving away from your mic sometimes when you're talking,
Oh,
and
yeah, I
sometimes you're
am.
up close. So I know that like that's,
Oh, thank you.
but I think I
I
think it's so interesting because you have a reading voice, like you have a voice that is meant to read out audiobooks or something. I think,
oh,
but yeah, I don't.
oh,
Yeah,
thank
audio
you.
quality. Yeah.
Oh,
But
no one's ever
anyway,
said that to me before. I'm kidding.
okay, all
They
right.
have.
Well, okay, yeah. I was like, are you sure about that? Anyway, so have you ever been a part of a hate mob?
Yes, when I was 12 years old, and that's when it stopped. Yeah.
There you go. That's your answer.
Yeah.
Is that they are 12?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What the only thing that disturbs me about this whole thing is like
yeah.
whenever I tune into Justical Server, I actually asked to be on a stream, okay? And someone told me one of those inarticulate weirdos on there was like, she's scared or he's scared. They thought I was a man. They were like, oh, he's scared or whatever. And every time I like open up Justical Server, he's like the most mediocre white man I have ever encountered. Like he's not a good public speaker, he's just nothingness. And he's always there. He uses the women. He uses the women. I don't even know if he used to pay them, like Cherry and Kelly Jane. Probably not. He's taking all the money from all their labor. I'm like, there's so many layers of sexism here that for you to even talk about the Pixie Destiny case, and I will be very clear right now, I have never said and I will never say that Pixie should not have brought the case. I do have questions after reading the Substack. I absolutely do, and the information that came after, but I'm willing to let this thing play out. I'm just wondering why people in Gisticle server are so adamant to get involved in the case. I've been part of a hate mob before Foodshops, but I've never been part of a hate mob that tells people to get involved in open and active cases and to use a sexual predator to that end.
Well, well,
That
well,
is crazy to me.
well. I mean, I guess what I'm looking for is like, are you wondering how that could be possible? Because I could tell you, but otherwise, I feel like I'm just gonna agree with you on everything, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so
I had a suspicion you would agree with me, but
yeah.
I'm just like, how is this possible? And like the women in there really like pissed me off with no one saying anything about erudite. Even Pixie, I'm not really sure what the relationship is right now. Even Pixie actually said that she's fine with
Well,
erudite and she's been
you can.
supportive.
Well. Here's the thing, right? You can search the furthest corners of the world for anybody that you want to look for, right? A racist Norwegian second cousin removed from Gandhi who is
Mhm.
from Mongolia. Like, if you search hard enough, you'll find that person, right? But I think that this is one of these spaces where, like, everybody is incredibly mentally ill, and they're going to be
Mhm.
looking around, and they're going to be enabling each other's worst aspects of themselves, and they're going to be amplifying that worst aspects, right? Chances are all of them have like some kind of maybe untreated mental illness, or maybe some kind of derived general depression or some shit like that. They feel unfulfilled in their daily lives in some kind of way. So then they
Mhm.
think of themselves as like true justice meters on the internet, but in actuality, they are no better than high school bullies who want to feel powerful for once after they've been victimized in high school. I think that's ultimately what it is. Is a lot of people, maybe a lot of people feel powerless, maybe at some point during their adult lives or when they were children, and then they went down like darker paths, and they want to feel powerful for once because they see somebody that is worse than them, right? All of these people like Sabasexual and all of these other like actual criminals, they look at Steven and they think to themselves, oh, this is a person that's worse than me. So therefore, any kind of attack I do or any kind of attack we do, at least we all know that we are better than this person. And I think
Right.
that that is what gives them a lot of like rancor, and that's why they crusade with this issue psychologically, at the very least. But yeah,
Yeah, okay, I think that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I
yeah.
did note another thing though. So
Hmm.
Justical had Connor points on his server,
That's
sorry, on his
correct.
stream the other day.
Yeah.
Okay, and I did not notice as much vitriol, or actually even anything close to the vitriol he had for Erudite. There was no comments on his looks, it was only comments on his ideas. So there seems to be like a conflation of, not a conflation exactly, but an overlap of the misogyny as well as hatred for Steven that is just being targeted on one or two people on
Hmm.
there. That's just really amplified. But Connor points, they kind of give a free pass to. I've seen some other communities. I don't know if you know that Queeman guy. I think Queeman
Yeah.
is his name.
I literally said so that I
Oh, right.
raised it.
Yes, you
Remember, I
created
was
him.
yeah. He's my Frankenstein
You
monster.
created
It's
Frankenstein's
great.
monster. You are
Yeah,
Frankenstein.
I'm Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that guy will send his people. He might not send them physically, but like he
He
creates this
doesn't send
environment
them.
where
He no, no, no. He enables that behavior, and he enables the mental illness that is necessary in order to like have that behavior happen. Right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
he's also sicked some of his soldiers on like this woman named Kalinda, who had the
Oh.
mildest debate I have ever heard in this space. Okay, she had the sweetest debate with like Pisco, where she was kind of pushing back on some of
Mhm.
the
Oh, she was being
Ethan
really
lawsuit
nice.
stuff.
She was being genuinely nice. Yeah.
Yeah, she really was.
Yeah.
And she kind of didn't even go that hard. And that was enough. That was enough for them to be like, wow, she has a YouTube and her camera's on. Let's get her. And like when
Yeah.
asked what they meant by that, they would say things like, she has an interesting look. Actually, Justical said the exact same thing. He said, Z has an interesting nose, not calling it ugly. And so I was like, you know what? You have an interesting neck and chin. Why don't you turn your camera
I
on
like
and let
how
us comment
like
on how
how
interesting it is?
I like how he said that, like because Z is Jewish. Good one. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. He said that, and I told him to turn on his camera and
Did
let
did
Lab
you
talk
know?
about.
Yeah, did you know that Jay Stelk is a fan of Nick Fuentes, or formerly? I don't know if he still watches him.
He still is a fan. Let's be clear,
Yeah.
he is a fan still.
Okay. All right. Wait, why?
He
Why do
can
you think
he
that
can
way?
LARP. He can LARP all he wants. Anytime someone when I was on the server, one of the first things they said to me, they're like, "Oh, you're from DGG. Are you Indian? Do you eat pork? Are you Muslim?" And that was
Yeah.
swirling around me for like an hour. They would just not stop. And the only crime I had committed was asking about erudite.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll do that. But, like, again, they share the same audience as people from Kiwi Farms, right? And Kiwi
Yeah.
Farms is a very far right space. They are very, very close with them. In fact, I might as well say that they are just a circle. Right, like if it's a Venn diagram, they would be a circle. Essentially, like Jay Stelk and Queeman, I would say, are like the deliverers from Destiny's Kiwi Farms thread. Like they would be the
Right.
ones like saying the same points or making arguments that end up on the Kiwi Farms thread, or it's the Kiwi Farms thread making arguments that they then adopt, essentially. And sometimes they're the ones that dig up things that end up on the thread, and sometimes it's the thread that digs up things that ends up on their side.
Mhm.
Um,
There's so
and
much
yeah,
cross-pollination between the 2.
yeah. Basically, it's a symbiotic relationship. I would say it's like moss and a rock.
It's
You
like a
know, the
beautiful
moss existing
vortex
on
of
rock.
bigotry,
Yeah,
misogyny, and every other ism out
yeah.
there.
It's like bees and flowers. You know, if they were evil. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
tell me more about you though. Like how when you're in the space, like how do you expect well, you actually told me a little bit about things that you expect from like friends-ish to moderate their chats and stuff. How is it actually done? Like what is the baseline of moderation you expect for yourself and other people?
Yeah, I just basically ban all Gunner shit from my server. Anything where it is just overly sexual comments or whatever the fuck, I just get it out of here. I think that if you're gonna make jokes, it better be in any kind of like just make it obvious, okay? Make it obvious. Make the
Yeah.
like make if you're gonna be ironically sexist, I allow that, by the way. I do allow that, but it's like it's so but make it obvious. If it feels as though, from my adult perspective, that something does not match up, or I feel as though there is some ambiguity there, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
kick you. I'm just gonna like get you out, right? And
Yeah.
I encourage my head mods to do that. I think that any kind of weird behavior like that, or kind of like this weird anti-fan behavior of other people, I really don't have the patience for that as well. I think that if one person hates another person in the server or in my community enough, to the point where they like log everything that they do and stalk everything that they say and report to the mods every single time or something, I am not tolerant of that behavior as well. So basically everything that the anti-fans are currently doing, basically. And in
Right.
addition, we actually moderate our community far like harsher than DGG.
Mm.
And it's also because I recognize at the very least that partially it is Steven's fault as well. Yeah.
Right.
So,
I understand
I
what you're
don't,
saying. I
yeah.
understand
Hmm.
totally that there's some ambiguity. We don't know what happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, that's fine. If you think it's partially someone's fault, partially someone else's fault, that's totally fine. I think with your case in particular, were there
Yeah.
certain actions that you felt? Because I was just curious about this. I know you're beefing. I know you're beefing with some of Steven's mates. So
Oh, yeah.
how is it like beefing with them, but also having a relationship with Steven in some way? Do you feel like DGG is way too harsh on you? Because I do see the comments. Actually, I should remind you. Do you remember that when you were once in DGG chat and everyone was being super hostile to you, there was one person who told you you had really pretty hair and asked you what you do for your hair?
Oh, yeah, I think I do remember that actually.
That was me.
Oh, really? That was you?
That
Oh,
was
shit.
me. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. What the fuck? Wait, I don't even
Yeah, because
remember
I felt
the
like
person's name. Was it just also Deeds Barb?
yeah, it's also Deeds. My
Okay,
my
okay.
chat name is also Deeds. Yeah. So I said all that
Oh.
stuff and I remember I thought that I was like, why are they so mean to this person? But I do feel like
That
DGG
that's a
just kind of
very, yeah, a compliment like that is a very, very outlandish thing from DEG. Usually they try to max out their inceldom, and they max out their goonery, and they max out how mean they are. So it's like, that, like, that does stand out for sure. Yeah, that's why I still
Yeah, and I
remember
kind of
it.
like
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of like doing it for like anyone that I feel is being piled on. Sometimes I have to admit there are times when I let the tide carry me and I say something really bitchy while chat is piling on. Okay, I do that. And sometimes they're bangers, but I'm not proud of it and I will do better as well. But I do think that yes, chat can be a little harsh when someone's talking to Steven, but then Steven will say like almost the exact same point sometimes and everyone's like, "Yeah, actually Steven's right." I find it so funny when that happens.
Well, you have to keep in mind that not only are these like some of the oldest DG fans, but they are some of the most like how do I say this without being too mean? They are empty in the head. They are absent-minded, I would say, is the nicest way I can put it. Basically, they don't think when they type, and they'll go along with whatever the stream is or whatever their bare minimum thoughts are. It doesn't really encourage, any kind of critical
Mhm.
thinking or anything like they do on the subreddit. Like on the subreddit, you have more time to type, you have more time to, explain your thoughts, right? But in the chat, if you
Yeah.
type out any kind of long, it's kind of like the same as Twitter, right? Like the character limit encourages brainlessness. But that is that's the nature of these large streamer chats in general, right? This is not exclusive to DGG. But at the same time, there are some moderation things, I guess, that in my
Yeah.
opinion, I wouldn't have made the same decisions as Steven at all, which is why I think that my community is superior.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
your community is more limited and it's a little bit easier to control. Like I hate to pretend what I would do in these scenarios. I do know of the like Mr. Girl arc when Mr. Girl felt like he was being ganged up on and like he wanted some special allowances and I don't think Steven wanted to make an exception. This is the story as I understand it. I wasn't in the community back then, okay? So he didn't
Mhm.
make a special allowance for him. And that kicked off the entire like let's get all the victims of Stephen, let's get them all in a document. It's really weird to me when someone has an epiphany about women and minorities and all that stuff only when they feel personally slighted. It's very, very suspicious. But anyway, let's put that all aside. How do you feel about like his behavior towards like Mr. Girl in general and not really flexing on his rules for like someone who was kind of friendly to him, but because he didn't want to be like, I'm going to do this for one person in particular?
It did happen only with Mr. Girl, right? Like the flexing of these rules that you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that with someone like Mr. Girl, he was a very unique person in general. And what you're describing is a very unique drama situation as well. But I think it really set the precedence for what followed afterwards for years. I think that ultimately, I think I said this to Stephen before, he should have a tighter grip on his orbiters. Even though I benefit from the loose grip that he has on me, like it doesn't even come close. Like I can shit on Steven every day and I have. I've called him retarded, I've called him stupid, I've called him
Mm-hmm.
he's full of toxic masculinity, as I've said before.
Okay.
But at the same time, like I believe that me in myself is ultimately against the anti-fans. And even though I have critiques for him, they're never going to amount to the same level as the anti-fans would ever levy at him.
Right.
But on other orbiters that are not me, to be frank, I think I'm superior. Okay, but just kidding. But like, to be frank, I think that I don't know. There's just a lot of incentive for people to turn against other people, and I think there also is a lot of incentive to really let resentment brew as well.
Right.
Depending on things that happen, especially DGG's reaction to things. I think that there's never one clear answer for everything, and I wish I could give you that. I wish I could give you an answer where it's like, oh, this is a smoking gun. This is what Steven needs to do to solve this. But
Mm.
I think that it is a combination of many, many, many factors that ultimately, like, cause this kind of anti-fan movement to happen, right? And I think Steven also needs to recognize that part of it is his own fault as well.
Yeah.
In addition to, well, a lot of other people doing like dumb shit and evil shit as well, right?
I agree.
So
I think the
yeah.
biggest line, from my understanding, from my personal
Mhm.
conversations with him, and this is not the only thing we've ever talked about, but from my personal conversations with him, I think the line that really, really jarred him, or I wouldn't say jar him, but surprised him and really took him aback was maybe Supersexual getting like directly involved and like everyone behind the scenes coordinating and justifying it post hoc, justifying it while it's happening, providing an audience for Supersexual and all that stuff. Just
Yeah.
all that stuff taken together is I think what like drew his ire the most, I believe. It wasn't just the snarking, because I think he's a big boy. I think he understands that people like to snark, and snarking isn't really a bad thing because people actually hate watch people, so it's actually a good thing
Well,
for your
well,
revenue
well, well,
streams.
well. I mean, Destiny snarks all the time, right? Destiny snarks on
Yes.
Hassan, like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
yeah. I mean, like, what's with the Kaya dog collar shit, right? Or all the way to
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Hassan. Yeah. Again, like this is something we do all the time for sure.
Yeah,
It's
I think
not.
it
It's not.
puts
Yeah. It's not about the snarking inherently. It's about how vicious you're willing to go.
right.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
because I can't think of anyone from DGG, and I'm not suggesting anyone do this, absolutely not. One of the things I asked like Supersexual directly, I DM'd him and I was like, "How come you haven't like gotten in touch with like Pixie's ex? Because he could give you a little more insight into how she treated consent. Like, why are you so gung ho on like getting in touch with Rose in particular?" And another thing, I think I directly DM'd Wicked Supreme because I kind of just got mad one day and I was just like, I'm gonna DM these people because they wouldn't let me on that server because they know I was cooking. All right. So when I was there, I DM'd
okay.
Wicked
Yeah.
Supreme and I was like, Wicked Supreme, like, why are you so sure of Pixie's incentives being pure? Because he keeps saying that. He keeps saying that Pixie has done nothing wrong. But then when Rose's depositions come out, he confidently goes onto the server and says,
Rose is
she is
lying.
lying.
Yeah.
She is lying. And he says it definitively. So clearly, you don't believe all women. You believe the women you want to believe.
Well,
So
they never
so
cared
stand on
about
that.
women, right? They never cared about women.
Yeah,
I
of
think a
course.
lot of I think a lot of people like to believe that they have principles. I think a lot of people say that they're honest and they have principles and they're consistent about things. But I think that a very small percentage actually adheres to consistent principles, right? So ultimately,
I gotta
yeah.
stop you there. Most normies are actually they can be hypocritical in small instances, but their lives are not this detached from reality. Their principles sort of match what they do in their everyday life. You can say they're oppressed, you can say that they have secret ambitions. Sure, you can say all that shit. But I haven't met anyone who says that, oh, we support women and do all this shit in like real life and not in a collective psychosis like it is on that server.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know if I agree with you. When it comes to normies, I think that normies don't even realize when they're being a little bit hypocritical at times as well. And like I mean hypocritical in actually massive ways. And I think, like, for example, normies would say, "Oh, I would never be mean to another person in a way where I would make fun of their nudes or whatever." But then the moment
Mhm.
that person gets backstabbed by their ex, what do? Right? They will, like, absolutely, I don't know, maybe they'll do revenge, like prawn or some shit like that, right? Like, basically, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is a lot of normies are in fact very vengeful, spite-driven people who are in fact like hypocritical to their announced morals, right? But at the same time, I agree with you in the sense that I think that these people are on another level. I think the best way to think of them is that they're not just the normies, but they are trailer trash with nothing else going on in
They're
their
literally
lives.
trailer trash. There's
Like
a
they're
person on there
literally
who
like
literally is trailer
yes,
trash.
you're talking about shell
Shell
boner.
Boner, I think?
Shell boner, yes. From what I heard at the very least, her husband is a nurse. She just stays in her trailer all the time on JStock's server, and she just straight up does not give her husband any kind of attention that he actually wants. Instead, she'll just go on arguing in Discord all day instead of taking care of things in her real life. That is what I've heard. And ultimately, you have to think that, these people are just trash. They're just trashy people, and these are the kinds of people who are going after Steven. So any hypocrisy that normies have, just amplify that by like 500 times, and you got the anti-fans.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And on the Shell Boner's husband thing, I don't think she has a husband, and if she does, he has a second family, and he's probably happy with them, Shell.
Well, I hope
Okay.
so for his sake.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
all I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you have any questions for me or
Yeah, like I would say I don't know. I guess all the questions I have is more like what Steven is like in a personal setting. But then that's just my parasocialism saying, speaking out. Yeah, not to dig.
That's
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. So it's interesting to
Hmm.
me that you said that he has toxic masculinity. The thing we talk
Oh,
about the
yeah.
most. Well, I'm not saying that you think that that's his entire persona. Okay, I understand what you mean though.
Uh
Like
oh.
he's kind of like an edgy
Oh
boy.
boy. Yeah. You
So
think?
when we talk, when him and I talk, when we exchange messages, I talk exactly the way I'm talking to you right now. I have the same tone, I have the same humor. I never modify myself, and he seems to appreciate that. We actually talk about feminism a lot. We talk about a lot of books. We talk about a lot of stuff. But I don't think he thinks of that as an interpersonal thing necessarily. I think he thinks of that as just us
He
exchanging ideas.
I think when Stephen talks about feminism,
Mhm.
he does believe all of these things, but he separates it from himself. I think that's what's going on. I think
Yeah,
that
and
when
I
he talks about
appreciate that because
feminism,
he's
he's
not a
like,
feminist.
yeah. It's more like he thinks about things in the sense of like, okay, here's the way that the gender pay gap is still
Mhm.
present in society. Here's how women are mistreated in the judicial system. I think that's probably what he's thinking. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that he doesn't really relate that to himself. I don't think he does that because there is a lot of because that's talking on the macro, right? That's talking on the macro. The macro is ports and all of that, right? But the micro is like what's in men's pants and interpersonally between.
That's interesting
I
to call it
sorry,
like macro
sorry.
or micro and talk about
I
penises.
sorry. I had to say it like that. Okay, like I had to make the joke. Okay, the point is people. I guess people don't like talking about their own flaws, and I also think that people like talking about the ways that other people suffer and the are the ways that other people inflict pain, but people don't like to look upon the way that they are maybe inflicting pain or creating a worse environment for others. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think the criticism I've heard the most about Steven in general is
Yeah.
that he's very cerebral. He does
Wait,
more like
what?
cerebral.
What do you mean
Sorry?
cerebral? Oh, like logical?
Like it's more of a head thing rather than a heart or a gut instinct thing. Like a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
people make decisions based on like a gut punch they might feel, but I think
Hmm.
a lot of people think that Steven does a lot of things more cerebrally. Rather than gut motivated or heart motivated. This is just a feeling that I've gotten from things I've heard people say about him over the last year that I've known him. I think that's interesting. Whenever I hear his thoughts on why he does what he does, they seem quite cogent to me. They're not the way I would
What
do
does cogent
things.
mean?
You
Sorry, what does cogent mean? My bad. Vocabulary
cogent.
limited. Yeah.
Clear, concise, really precise way of looking at things. I guess that's a very rough definition. Or
Yeah.
clear, I guess.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I believe the way that he looks at things logically is also a part of his toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's definitely a product of his environment. I'm not mad at how he conducts himself in general in political spaces. Interpersonally, I guess a lot of people just are really put off by
Wait,
any sort of
wait.
hedonism.
Is it your fault that not your fault? Maybe I'll give you credit, okay? Is it your credit that he said on stream recently that he wants to give out more compliments to people?
Oh,
You
I
better have affected
don't
that.
know. I don't know. I think
Okay.
that's really cute though. I think I missed that. But I think that's always a good thing to do. It's always good to give out compliments and very personalized compliments because I do that.
Yeah. Oh, somebody said, yeah, he definitely looks like a sociopath when he talks about feelings. There's two things I can think of off the top of my head that automatically points to like his detachment. Like he's kind of emotionally behind a little bit, you know? And, one thing I'll say, all right, is that in my heart, I've always been a snarker, okay? I've always been an anti-fan of Steven, okay? I've always
Mhm.
loved pointing out the flaws of this motherfucker, okay? But it's just that I do think the anti-fans are too unhinged, and that's why I'm doing this, okay? So I think, okay, two examples I can think off the top of my head is one, all right? Number one, I think that when he was talking about his divorce, and not to go too much into it because obviously he's your friend, but when he was talking about his divorce, he said that he had a lot of issues with verbal affirmation, that this was a
Right.
concept that makes no sense to him because he thinks that verbal affirmations are not needed because obviously why do you need them? Because I'm here with you. So why do you need any kind of affirmation, right? But that's not
Yeah.
but that's not the reason why they're given. The reason why they're given is because it displays continued effort into the relationship. That's what it shows. And it's
Yes.
a love language that people just simply have and they value a lot more than other love languages, something you might not share yourself, right? And so he has a lot of trouble wrapping his mind around that, which
Hmm.
automatically is a red flag for me. Okay. Number two is when he said that, so years and years ago, he said that because he has ADHD, he has like superpowers or some shit. Okay. And he's like
Oh, he
unmedicated.
doesn't.
Okay. Yeah. But then later on, when he finally got on medication, he literally attributes that to, oh, I think it was because I was too toxically masculine. And that's why I didn't want to get on medication. It's because of whatever.
Hmm.
Oh, in fact, I just thought of another example is that he typically downplays the effect of therapy and I understand where he's coming from because a lot
Yeah.
of people will the people who will typically talk about therapy are the people who are not effective at it and
Right.
use it for their own selfish means, but the people who are actually benefit from therapy are the people who never talk about therapy, almost never talks about therapy, and they just treat
Mhm.
it as a part of their lives that goes on. So he's getting this bias, right? He's getting the people who only talk about therapy in order to benefit themselves or to levy allegations at other people or for whatever nefarious purpose, right? So he downplays that and he says that what I don't need it or whatever, when in my opinion he clearly does. So the way I look at that is, I'm sorry, okay, DGG chat and stream is not his therapist. Okay, sorry, just wanted to put that out there real quick. Okay, so I think, all right, I think that, and the few times that he has been to therapy don't count in my opinion. One of the things that therapists always say over and over again, all therapists share this thought, is if you don't want to be there, then the treatment is not going to be effective, period.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be there, or if somebody dragged you there, go
Hmm.
away. I don't want you as a
Yeah.
patient. I don't want you to waste my time, right?
So,
Steven
so
is that. It feels as though someone keeps on dragging him there, like maybe his ex Melina or some shit keeps dragging him there. So therefore, that's why he doesn't actually respond well to therapy because he doesn't even want to be there, right? Like so, of
yeah,
course,
but I
yeah.
think he has trouble. I mean, I don't even know if I agree that there's something specific that he needs to fix. So let me just be clear. Therapy, I think everyone who has a disposable income should get therapy if they can. Just to explore with themselves, just to introspect a little bit about who they are for sure.
Hmm.
But I think therapy is most effective for people who have things like depression and anxiety. It's not as effective for people, and I'm not saying this applies to Stephen at all. I'm actually talking in general. For people with more like sociopathic tendencies or people who are more narcissistic,
You think he's sociopathic?
no, I do not. I do not think he's sociopathic, not even close. I think for people with sociopathic and narcissistic tendencies,
Hmm.
both of which he does not have, for people with those tendencies, when they go to therapy, all they learn to do is to weaponize therapy speak.
Yeah.
And they don't really learn anything because they don't really
Oh,
want to
yeah,
get better.
yeah, yeah. Right,
Yeah, but
right,
I
right,
don't
right.
think he
Yeah,
has any of those. But I think so. I think therapy is interesting. I think everyone should try it. I don't think it's the only way to heal yourself from trauma. I think you can heal yourself through community, through new relationships, through friendships. There's a bunch of different ways that work for different people.
yeah. I agree.
I'm currently like in the like non-medicalized sort of phase of like maybe we're over medicalizing people. I think a lot of people's depression and anxiety would go poof if we had a better world, if we had a world that wasn't so wrapped up in survivalism. Like if people weren't working dead end jobs and trying to do a lot of shit when not pursuing their passions, I think we would have much less depression and anxiety. There's also,
Yeah.
of course,
Mm-hmm.
there's also like imbalances with hormones and stuff and like neurotransmitters for sure. There's that
Yeah.
level of depression as well. People have everything technically and they're still depressed. I think that's a totally different kind of depression than when you're stuck in like the lowest strata of society and just trying to work really hard.
Yeah.
And you just can't see a way out. So that is like a totally externally driven depression. So
Yeah.
they're treated, to me, they're slightly different. One is treated with meds and one is treated with a bunch of different things. It can be treated by social programs and a bunch of different things, basically.
Yeah. I think that for people who always dumb things down to therapy, yeah, I don't think I agree with them. Obviously, right? I think that if whatever works for you, and everybody is different, so then, different kinds of treatment or combination of treatments work for different kinds of people, and which is
Mhm.
why people keep on swapping out therapists or swapping out, depression drugs, right? So, this is one of these things where, it's a complicated topic, and yeah, some depressions can actually be treated with more experimental methods. Like I'm sure you've heard of treatment resistant depression, right? Or
Right.
medication resistant depression or something like that. And they're like experimenting with some weird like mind zapping thing. They put this implant in your brain where every single
Right.
time you start to feel depressed, it delivers an electrical impulse signal to a part of your brain that somehow just simply zaps away the depression. Somehow it just gets your neurons jogging or some shit. And then the moment you start feeling depressed, boom, it's gone, which is some of the coolest fucking thing I have ever heard of. And yeah, I don't know, like this is still a developing field, and but here's the thing. I think therapy and medication and treatments like that are for people who need help now.
Yeah.
But long-term solutions can come from changing the society you're in, or trying to, at the very least, right?
Right. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're right. So wait, I just got word. I just got word that on the logistical server,
Oh.
they're deciding, collectively deciding how I need to be punished because I'm a woman who's not passive and kind of disagreeable to what they're doing. They're deciding collectively on whether I should be stalked, whether they should call me all kinds of disgusting names, who they're gonna sick on me. I've just heard. Just breaking news.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate. I mean, I'm not surprised. I think that is the expectation of everyone who
Is in the
appears,
space? Yeah, I agree.
who
So,
appears on my
just to let
stream.
you guys know,
Yeah,
I know they're
yeah.
listening. I know they're listening. My nose is exactly like Z's. My hair is greasy like erudite. I have a jaw and a chin like Lav, so you can do with that what you will. You can draw a little sketch, make fun of it. Do it.
They'll probably try to dox you.
Yeah, they might, but I mean, they should
What if you
try.
are doxed? You just live with it.
What if I am to I don't really care. I don't really care at this point.
Based. That is the correct answer.
Yeah, let him do it.
I think
Okay, so
privacy is overrated. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I actually have to go eat my dinner because I'm
Oh,
such a fatty fat person, like Gisticle
mm.
server is gonna say. So, yeah, I'm gonna go do that, and it was super nice talking to you. Unless you have something else for me.
Yeah, put in a good word after you talk to Steven, okay? Go like,
Sure.
this fucking
I mean,
Foodshops motherfucker.
I don't know if
You
I'm
don't deserve
necessarily
her. You
closer
don't. You
to
don't
him.
deserve food chops. Hell yeah. Okay, joking. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know if I'm necessarily closer to him than you are. Actually, I don't know if I'm misrepresented or if he misrepresented how.
No. What?
We're friends.
No.
We're friends. You might be.
No. No.
I
No.
don't
No. No.
even
No.
know.
No.
You
No.
might
No.
be
No. No.
closer.
No. 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 I
Yeah.
consider Steven like a coworker in this space. That's it. I
Okay.
think, in my opinion, yeah, no, I don't think of him as a friend. No, he's a coworker.
Okay, cool.
Hmm.
So it's super nice talking to you. Maybe we'll do it some other time. Maybe we'll talk about some of my other work and not be so Stephen focused. But this was fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, sure, of course, anytime. I can give you perms as well, since you've already been verified by Steven and from your
Oh,
own
sure.
as well. Yeah.
I don't really know what that would mean apart from me just
Oh,
dropping in, I guess.
yeah, just dropping in. That's what it means. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, of course.
Bye.
Thanks for coming along. Bye. Destiny is clearly your friend. Stop. Stop that. Stop. Really? My ninja? We need something between friend and acquaintance? But he would be an acquaintance, I feel like. No? I think the word I use is business partner. Stop pretending like you don't send cute DMs to Destiny. He doesn't respond. He isn't Okay, all right. People are not responsive to sorry, not people. Steven isn't responding. You know how people try to talk to me and I never respond? Steven is like that, like the way I treat people who DM me, okay? All right, you know what I mean? He's your partner, business partner, work friends, which is not friends. She's crashing out, okay? But by the way, okay, not that, like, for the record, okay, if Steven wants to be my friend, okay, he just simply has to say so, okay? And then I'll be there, okay? Day one, friendship time, all right? But do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? You know, I DM him, okay? I put memes, all right? He doesn't respond. He doesn't respond. He doesn't respond at all, okay? He fucking straight up does not. He straight up doesn't respond, okay? He will ghost you. He will ghost you, okay? You have to like spam like 50 fucking messages in a row. Don't be so emotionally hollow. You mean how I've been emotionally open to Steven, but he's just not been reciprocal? If somebody doesn't reciprocate a friendship, there's nothing I can do, okay? He'll stay a business partner. Steven said recently he hates texting and doesn't understand how to do it. Do it that if you will. That's his issue. Yeah. His issue, his problem. Do you think Steven views you as a friend? No, absolutely not. What? No. Stay positive instead of assuming the pessimistic mindset. Look, the more pessimistic you are, okay? The more pessimistic you are, the less you'll be disappointed, okay? You're welcome.